I am not even over exaggerating when I say Flow might be one of the best films I have ever watched in my entire life. It definitely deserved that Oscar win. I don't want to hear anyone talking about, oh, The Wild Robot should have won. No. Although I think The Wild Robot was still a very good film, Flow was way better, in my opinion. It definitely deserved that win. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my thoughts about the film, you know, what I liked about it, why I think it's one of the best films I've ever seen. For obvious reasons, I will be talking about spoilers. There's some very depressing themes in this film that I was not expecting at all. So I definitely want to talk about those scenes. And obviously, they are very like spoilery scenes, so this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't watched the film yet and you don't want to be spoiled, I definitely recommend watching the film first. It's so good. So before the film actually even started, there were about 2 minutes of just opening titles of all these different companies, you know, coming together to make the film, and that just shows, you know, how many different companies actually wanted to work on making this film. And it's just companies that I've never even heard of before, and I'm just so glad, you know, they got the recognition they finally deserved at the Academy. So the whole plot of this film is humans have gone extinct. Humans are not on the planet anymore, so that means the animals can actually act like proper animals, and I love it. Like, there's no dialogue in this film either. That was kind of the thing that is like the selling point for this film. Like, there's no dialogue, none of the animals speak or anything, and I love it. They just let the animals behave like animals. The animation is absolutely beautiful as well. Like, it blends 2D and 3D animation from the looks of things, and I love it so much. Fun fact, by the way, apparently this film was made on a software that is completely free to use. The fact it looks that good kind of says a lot, doesn't it? But yeah, what I also liked about this film as well, there were loads of long shots, which I think was great to add realism to the film. I just love that media in general, we're getting more long shot scenes, long takes. Another thing about the animation, just for how good it is. So because there's no dialogue in this film, the way the animals communicate with each other is through body language, you know, body movements. And I like that with their eyes show their emotions. Like, we can tell by looking at their eyes if the animals are upset, if they're happy, if they're scared. And it was so refreshing to actually watch a film that took that much care and detail into the animation. Like, they do this as well. There's loads of scenes where the animals are like looking at their reflection through mirrors and in the water. That was not really needed in the film, but they chose to do that anyway, just to show how much they care. And as for the no dialogue, like, they could have easily had voice actors for these animals. They could have easily done so. They could have used that budget to get like a celebrity voice actor or anything and be like, hey guys, Chris Pratt voices the cat in this film, you should watch it. But they didn't do that. They actually just chose to make this film realistic. So the main disruption in this film is when the flood happens, and when that scene happens, there's like no music or anything at all, which I loved. You know, I was a film student, I overanalyze every single scene. I love the fact that there was no music though when the flood was actually happening, to sort of symbolize, you know, the danger and how this is a very important bit in the film. I also want to say as well, I absolutely loved the cat's character development in this film. I don't want to talk about it just yet because it will contain spoilers, but this cat had better character development than like protagonists from films that I watch nowadays from like major studios like Disney. That is saying a lot. I like that all the animals had their own different personalities as well. It made them very unique. There was a scene in this film where there are 2 birds and they're both looking at each other, and you can just tell based on their character designs, especially of their eyes, you can tell what kind of personality these 2 birds have. Like, they could have easily used the same model, you know, make all the animals look the same, but they didn't do that. So now it's time to talk about the heavy spoilers in this film. So there is a scene where, you know, the flood disappears and then it does eventually come back, but there is one scene we need to talk about first. There is literally a scene where a bird dies and you see it ascend to heaven. what? When I first watched that scene, I thought I was over-analysing it. I was like, there is no way this actually happened, right? In a kid's film, there is no way we just saw a bird ascend to heaven as it dies. And then I did some research afterwards, and that is literally what happened. That is what it was meant to show. I was like, damn, like, I do not think 5-year-old kids watching this film are gonna understand that scene at all. But I'm so, like, I'm glad that scene does exist. It was so beautiful. It was so powerful. It was, that scene alone was probably the best scene in the whole film for me. I know, like, oh, your favourite scene in the whole film was a bird dying. It's not about that. It's about the symbolism and just the cat as well. The way the cat reacted to everything and the animation and the symbolism. Like, it's so good, guys. So now we need to talk about the ending. Now, everyone has different perspectives on what happened in the ending. In my opinion, this is what I took from the ending. So the cat sees the whale, you know, washed up on shore because the flood is all gone, all the water's gone. They then see all the birds and animals running away, so we know the flood is going to come back. It's in a cyclical structure. We know it's going to come back. The cat starts off as being, you know, very isolated, reserved, you know, just looking out for itself and no other animals. But in this scene, the cat chooses to stay with all of the animals it's met along the way and the whale, and just decides to stay with them and comfort them as the flood inevitably comes to, yeah. That was what I got out of it. The cat goes from being isolated and alone and reserved to actually being open and seeing these other animals as its friends and family. Like, the cat could have easily run off to save itself, but it chose to stay there and comfort all the animals in their final moments. And that was so depressing, and the character development, the character growth of that cat was just incredible. No words spoken at all. That is just how powerful and how great the writing in this film was. You can even tell now I'm getting emotional just talking about it, but I did stay for the end credits. Yes, I did see the whale swimming in the flood, and that just made me sad even more. Because there's no cat, there's no other animals. I have basically been given the impression that they died at the end of that film. That is what I have been shown. It's a very depressing ending. It's very heartwarming because, you know, oh, the cat has finally found friends, you know, he's not alone anymore. But then, yeah, that ending scene alone for me was better than the whole of The Wild Robot. It was that ending scene that made me give this film a 5 out of 5. Fully well deserved. This is literally a perfect film. There is nothing about this film that I would change at all. I literally did not write a single negative thing down in my notes. And I'm a very strict person when it comes to watching films. If you know from my film reviews on TikTok, I'm a very strict person when it comes to watching films. Like, if they're not perfect, I would let you guys know. But I genuinely think Flow is a perfect film. If you haven't watched it yet, I cannot recommend it enough. I literally can't. It is so good. And it's just,